First off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessor, transmitting masters, and everyone here today for the opportunity to discuss this topic. Recognize the Dao Society. Okay, yeah, I changed Dao Field, Dao Society. All right, doesn't matter. Same thing. Okay. Let's see. This thing is recording, right? Yeah, okay. All right. So what is the Dao Society? Okay. Just say, we talked about before about the tradition of the Tao, right? Which is really, it's we just say the tradition, the lineage, the transmission of heaven's mandate and the teachings, the Tao, the true teachings of the Tao. Okay, so obviously that's something that happens within the Tao Society. That's where we hear about the Tao, teachings of the Tao, and where the Tao is transmitted. It's also the people and places of Tao learning and practice. Okay, so obviously we're talking about the external side of things, which that's what we're dealing with most of the time. We see or places that we go to. So like the temples. So this is where we can people can gather together to learn and study the Tao and practice, and also perform merits. They can cultivate things like that, bringing people in to receive the Tao, and there's also, you can say, the internal Tao. Well, it wouldn't be called Tao Society, it'd be like the internal Tao field, I guess, which is within our heart and mind. Okay, so everyone, this is the internal place to cultivate Tao. It's the clean and pure and tranquil. Okay, so in our heart, in our mind. But what we're talking about today is kind of the external side of it. All right. So it's also a place for enlightenment and attainment, the Tao, becoming essentially, becoming a Buddha. Okay, so this is, so this is kind of a distinction between the Tao Temple and, or I should say, Yiquan Tao Temple and like other religious places of worship. Okay, because I think we kind of talked about those difference before, but in the Tao Temple, this is where, because of that heaven's mandate, right, and the transmission of the Tao, the transmission of the three treasures, that we can, that is you could say it's a prerequisite to attain the Tao. Okay, so enlightenment, people can become enlightened in the past, like the monks. There are cultivators who have become enlightened. When they become enlightened, they achieve. You can say they can attain or achieve the status of an arhat, but that's not quite the same as the attainment of Tao, where we can really go beyond that. Okay, so anyways, in the Vimalakirti Sutra, it says that Tao field is actually everywhere, as long as that the Buddha is in our heart and mind. Okay, so this is, you can say this is the internal. So it really doesn't necessarily depend on having a physical temple here, a place, physical place. But as long as the Buddha is in our heart and mind, then that is, the Tao field is there. Okay, so it's always, it's with us. Okay, so wherever we are, right? Right. So this is okay. So that's again, that's kind of the internal. But ultimately, this external internal thing. It's all, we have to treat it as one. Okay, so the external ones are also important, especially as we for receiving the Tao. Definitely, you need to have a temple, or at least it could be a temporary temple, or just an altar setup where then having the transmitting master, they do the invocation and then basically sanctify it, and someone can receive the Tao in a temporary location. But there's so that the physical side of things, the external things, that's yeah, definitely need some that for the transmission of the Tao. But otherwise, the rest of the cultivation, that's anywhere, right? Anywhere we are, as long as we are in our heart mind, we are in line in following the Buddha nature, then that is the Tao field. Okay. All right. So the Tao Society, right? It should be a warm home for the soul, for everyone. Okay. Our soul and essence came from God, right? Because our essence, the true nature, the Buddha nature, is of God, right? It is the same, really. It's part of God. But in this world, being as a human being, we are also disciples of the living Buddha, the holy teacher, right? And the Chenren, right, our predecessors, they're like our parents, leading the Daokin, who are us, to be like saints internally and kings externally. Okay, well that's there's the Chinese, the phrase saying "内圣外王." Okay, so that's literally this. That's kind of this translation here, literally. But yeah, so it'd be like saints, and so this is part of the cultivation to be like that. Right, to be like a saint. And now, internally, right, families. So internally meaning, it's not outside in society, but so in this case, talking about, so in the home, in the family, right, everyone is cultivating the Tao, and they can all become Jingzi, or you can say noble, superior person, whatever. Practicing the principles of the relationships, right? So these are things that Confucius has been teaching. His moral principles, transforming countless families and establishing a strong force for a stable society. Right. So, Confucius, I guess, he recognized that everything starts with these relationships, these human relationships, these cardinal relationships, and if we can do those well, perform them well, then basically we have to uphold our duties and responsibilities within those relationships. Then and it starts with the individual, of course, and then the family, which makes sense because that's what we're that those are the people who are closest to us. And if the family is kind of you could say a microcosm of society as a whole. So it starts with that smallest unit, first the individual and then the family. So if we can, if everyone can be cultivating in the family, then gradually, that you can have that influence on society, right? Because then it's not just your one family, but lots of families. If they're all cultivating, then that is society, right? Then basically the society will be peaceful, okay, so and stable. And externally, spreading the model of Tao from Taiwan to the rest of the world. Okay, so so this is and then in a larger context, or in the current context of today, where the Tao, well, it was in China, and then it spread to Taiwan, and also actually to like Hong Kong, and then from those two places, from Hong Kong, Taiwan, is spread to the rest of the world. Okay, so so the Tao Society home is a place to contribute to and share the value of life, right? To understand, we understand the meaning of life, our true destiny in life, what we're here for, what's the purpose, and this is where we learn about that, and we can really start to fulfill that destiny. Okay. Now, Iguan Dao is already the realization of a warm and peaceful society and is a force that continues to develop greater influence on society at large. Now, of course, this depends on where you are. In Taiwan, because the Tao, has been there for, let's see, what is it? Since you can say since 1947. Okay, so it's been there, yeah, 60, 70, almost 70 years, I think, 70, 80, yeah, over 70 years. And so it's had a lot of time to establish itself, being established in Taiwan, and it's certainly, well, I mean, a large percentage of the population, right, is has received the Tao there, and so the Tao is actually, and all the Tao societies there, the various the Tao groups, and units within those groups, they've all, are very well, you can say, integrated into society as a whole. And so there's a lot of, a lot of things that they do within society, charity work, things like that. But of course, like, for example, in this country, in the US, then you don't see that much. I mean, Tao is is a very small part of the US right now. It's probably, well, I'm sure it's less than 1% of the population. But and so you don't see that here. I mean, we're not, even the large Tao group, or units, for example, like, one of the larger ones. Well, things like Bai Congde and Bai Linging, right? These are very large Tao societies, but we still this still isn't that much of, you can say, integration within society as a whole. Okay, because there's a lot of things, culture, and everything else, in that's going on here. So we're not there. We're not there yet. But definitely in Taiwan, and maybe even some of the other Asian countries where Tao is quite popular, you can say. All right. Okay, so the focus of the Tao Society is primarily to transmit the Tao, of course, because we have that mandate, right? The transmitting masters can transmit the Tao, or the three treasures to people. Okay, so that is really the primary thing. To basically also to inspire the conscience and capability of utmost good within each person, right? So that's the idea, is pointing out our true nature, that Buddha nature, which is, you can say, it's that light within us, the light of truth, okay, the light of goodness, okay. So and you can say it's our conscience, part of that. So trying to point that out to us, and realize that, oh yeah, we have all these, you can say, undesirable qualities, negative qualities, bad temperament, bad habits, other things, biases, attachments, all these things, right? And to realize that those are not things that we want, and those are not the things that we originally had, right? So our true nature did not have those things originally, and so we should work on getting rid of those and revealing that, following our conscience, revealing that utmost good within us, okay, that comes from that true nature, that Buddha nature. Okay, so we all have that capability, right? And also, to protect and sustain heaven's mandate, basically, right? Because the heaven's mandate is definitely something precious that we have within the Tao. And so, and the transmitting masters, they have this mandate to be able to transmit the Tao. Therefore, we should, we need to protect and sustain, and it's the Tao Society is there to also sustain this mandate for as long as it. I mean, obviously, it's not for humans to decide. Okay, so the heaven's mandate is heaven decides, or holy teacher, or heaven, God will decide how long it will be in this world, can be transmitted in this world. but we have to do our part. So we shouldn't let people disrupt the Tao Society, things like that. So that's why we also have to be careful who we bring in, right? We have to make sure that they're not going to cause trouble. Okay. It's a place also to teach the true mind dharma, or you say the Xingfa, right? So there's you can say it's also the three treasures, dharma, the three treasures, things like that. So basically, teaching the true principles, the true dharmas, and where basically Maitreya Buddha, his compassionate vow, he made this compassionate vow to basically create or establish this you can say this lotus this lotus state in this world, this pure land within this world, right? And it starts within this Tao Society. Okay. Secondly, to teach and to transform people. Okay, so so besides receiving the Tao, getting the Tao transmission, then we need to learn and to start to cultivate, which is to transform, ourselves. So we learn about the moral integrity and human dignity and all that. What's proper, what's not proper, and we can do that. Usually, it's through classes. Okay, so basically, you can say like the fundamental class that we have within the Tao Society is what we call the Dharma class, and that's like typically a 2-day event where you learn a lot of stuff, but it's basic. I mean, it's just kind of like very basic, but kind of a broad, somewhat broad view that you're learning kind of the basic things about life, about what's our purpose, and why is Tao precious? Why do we need to receive the Tao, etc. And then kind of going to the next step of once if we completing this Dharma class, we take vows. Okay, so it's kind of like how Buddha, you can say, kind of figured things out and then became enlightened. Okay, it's kind of going through that process, right? He tried to figure out the meaning of life, and eventually, you say he got to the point of becoming enlightened, awakened, enlightened, and he, basically made some vows. Okay, so it's the same, it's kind of similar process for us. Okay, here, and then beyond that, so that's like the first step. I mean, there might be some other kind of classes, if you will, before the Dharma class, but the Dharma class, of course, occurs after we see the Tao, and then beyond the Dharma class, then if hopefully people are inspired after the Dharma class, they once you take those vows at the end of the Dharma class, it's basically you're saying that you want to enter, what they call the Shodapana, the stream enterer, right? The entering into the stream of Buddhahood. Okay, so and so definitely hopefully you want to continue, and then we have the 5-year class. Okay, it just like and it's really for that's really the intent is to produce, you can say produce or nurture the talents, the resources of the Tao and the Tao and the temple, like have lectures coming out of that 5-year class. That's like the minimum that you have to go through to become a lecturer, for example. And so, unfortunately, we haven't really had an official 5-year class for the English. I mean, we have it for the Chinese, but I think we'll probably try to get started on that. In fact, I mean, the topics that we talk about in like this Friday class, a lot of them, the topics are, part of those 5-year class. Mostly from the first, 3 years, for example, of classes topics. but but yeah, we have to have a more official 5-year class. Hopefully, we can get that going for the English. Okay, and then it's also a place, society's place, cultivation, right, where we practice the way of the Bodhisattva. The Bodhisattva, again, you can say it's the Mahayana, it's the great vehicle where we're not just cultivating for ourselves, but also trying to help others, right? Because remember, that was part of the aim, I mean, the purpose or aim of Tao, right? Where we establish ourselves and help others to become established. We achieve ourselves and also help others to achieve, right? So it's not just about us individually, it's also trying to help others. Okay. All right, so the ideal of the Tao Society is basically, you can say to create a happy and fulfilling life, which is one of the topics that we talked about already. Okay, so the, fulfilling like the ideal of Confucius, which is, the world, what we call the world of great harmony, right? So that's the equivalent of basically what the Maitreya say his vow to create the Pure Land on earth. Okay, so that's basically this world of great harmony. And also, the Suzun and Sumu, who are 18th patriarch, matriarch. Okay, so are holy teachers, right? They have the great vow to enlighten and ferry sentient beings. Basically, to transform and ferry sentient beings to the origin, basically absolute heaven. Like I said, our soul, the Buddha nature comes from there, is part of God, and so we should return back to revive the Tao tradition in the world, right? And that's part of this creating this world of great harmony. Okay, so without the Tao, without the practice of the Tao, the cultivation of the Tao, we can't achieve this world of great harmony. And also, in the process, changing the customs and trends, transforming the world into a great harmony. Okay, so yeah, obviously today, the customs of the world, the people in the world, and the trends are yeah, it's kind of seems to be going in the wrong direction. Okay, it's if you want to put a label on it, it seems like it's going ultra liberal and all that stuff, and it seems to be going in not the right direction, at least in the moral sense. Okay, so we're seeking to fulfill the body, mind, and spirit, right? To transform the world into this lotus state or pure land through the realization of the world of great harmony. Okay, so happiness and blessings, okay, they're goals that people seek in life, but we must make adjustments, right, to the material and spiritual aspects of our lives, right, including establishing and maintaining a healthy body and mind, right? Reducing our wants and desires, deepening our sincerity, and increasing our faith, widening the circle of compassion through relinquishment and giving to society, finding contentment, right? Elevating ourselves to conform to the ideal, right? So gaining happiness and blessings comes from the harmony of our body, mind, and spirit. So yeah, cultivation is not just a spiritual thing, right? It involves the body and mind as well. Okay, so because that's part of cultivation, right? The practice of Tao is the saint's ideal, right? Even more so, to transform the world into this lotus state or pure land is, Grand Patriarch Maitreya's great vow, right? The ideal also includes transforming inferior sentient beings to our original home, which is, that's our holy teacher's compassionate vow. It is also the holy duty of Lao Chenan, right, the grand predecessor, and Chenan, the predecessors, who have inherited and sustained the aspirations and virtues of holy teachers, and continue that tradition. It, it, right, the Dao Society then can create this harmonious and fulfilling environment for us to practice the Dao, and gives us the opportunity to influence our families and every corner of society. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, we have to be the role models. We have to be, if you can say, become influencers, I guess. I mean, so from our study and learning and practice and cultivation, then we can influence others, to become better, right? To elevate themselves as well spiritually. Okay, so the Tao practice has been around for thousands of years and is the ideal of the saints and sages. When the world is drowning, right, save it with the Tao. That's been the aspiration of the saints and sages. During the course of learning Tao in the Tao Society, right, the Chenin and those who've coming before us have maintained the aspiration of the holy teacher and guided us. It's kind of like climbing up the steps of the ladder, right? So the starting point has been to inspire the conscience and our innate capabilities of utmost good within us. It is also to let us know and understand our true nature so that we can cherish ourselves even more. And then we can teach and guide others to renew themselves, right? So it is the same as what we say in the purpose of Tao, right? So to establish oneself and help others to become established, achieve oneself and help others to achieve. Right? So the final destination is to reach the utmost good of our true self nature, right? So that is when we are one with our conscience, one with our true nature, right? Then that's like the highest point. Okay, so that is something that we strive to achieve. Then basically, if we do that, then we're basically like a Buddha. Okay, and then the world of great harmony where every family has the Tao and every nation is good. So then that becomes achievable. Okay, so we can't really. We have to also mention, right, this golden thread, which is because without this golden thread, we wouldn't have the Tao societies, okay, to begin with, right? So this is kind of like we have to know our origin and root, right? Where do we come from? How is it that we have this Tao? Without this golden thread, we wouldn't have the Tao. We wouldn't be here today in class. Okay, so this is very important. This golden thread is our link to heaven, right? There's an internal link, which is our direct link to Lamu or God, right? Because remember, we have that essence, that true nature, that Buddha nature, that you can say the soul, if you want, comes directly from God. So that is our direct link. But and we also have a mandate. You can say that that's also a mandate from God for each of us for having this life. Okay. But then this is kind of like you can say the external golden thread here, which goes from God. You can say it's. You can also say it's the thread linking the heaven's mandate. Okay, to the Grand Patriarch Lao Tzu. Okay, and then to Sujin Sumu. And then to Lao Chenan, and then Chenan, and then you can say the transmitters, and then to our Inbaosi, or the introducer and guarantor, right, who brought us into receive the Tao. So that is our link, right? Without the introducer to bring us into the Tao, introduce us to the Tao, we wouldn't be here either. So anyone, if if any of these are missing, we would not be in the Tao. Okay, so this is very important. These are the faces of of them. Okay, so just briefly kind of introduce these each one of them. So this is the 17th patriarch, Lao Zusi or Mila Zusi here. So that's my Tria Grand Patriarch. He was in this world from 1849 to 1925. He had the Heaven's Mandate from 1905 until he returned to heaven. When he returned to heaven, then he got the title of Jingong Zusi. Okay, I can only say Jingong Patriarch. I don't know really how to translate this. I mean, these are titles anyway, so titles probably don't always translate. And so Maitreya Buddha basically is the incarnation. Maitreya Buddha, he has the heavenly post, okay, what we call the heavenly post, which is kind of in charge of everything in the universe, you can say, regarding humans at least, or all sentient beings. Okay, and then then you have the 18th patriarch. Then you have Sujun. Okay, so we say he's our holy teacher. He was in this world from 1889 to 1947. He had the mandate from 1930 to 1947. And there are actually 18 of these Iguan Dao groups. You can kind of say, you might say they're like administrative groups. Okay, different groups under our holy teacher. When he returned to heaven, completing his mission here, he got the title of Tenran Gofo. Okay, so you can say that's Tenran, ancient Buddha is kind of a translation, but Tenran really means natural or nature, but I don't know. Sounds kind of weird in the title, so just keep it as Tenran. And he has the Dao post. Okay, so we say the Dao post is right, the transmission of the Dao, right? So anything that has to do with the Dao, the transmission of the Dao, then our holy teacher Sijun or Tenran Gofo is in charge of that, along with Sumu, who is our matriarch, also a holy teacher. She was in this world from 1895 to 1975. Right, she had the mandate, obviously. Then also she had from the same time, from 1930 until her return to heaven, 1975. So again, these 18 Iguan Dao groups were under our holy teachers. When she returned to heaven, then she got the title of Zhonghua Sengmu. Okay, so you can kind of translate this as either divine or holy matriarch of China. Again, also having the Dao pose. So, okay. Now, so these are kind of this is the overall view of the Iguan Dao Society. There are those 18 groups that I mentioned. So, Xinyizu and Baguangzu, Fayizu. Fayizu is we are part of under the Fayi. Okay, so of these 18, we are one of the under one of these. You have Jitsu, Andong, Tenzin, 法圣、浩然、常州、前一、中庸、慧光、明光、天祥、禅德、金光、普光, and 文化. Okay, so anyways, some of these, like I think these four here are kind of the largest ones. The rest are kind of smaller, and some of them are really small, and some of these groups probably are no longer active. Okay, they don't have they may not even have transmitting masters. Okay, so they're no longer propagating the Tao. Okay, so some of these, but the larger groups, of course, they're still very active. So we're under this Fa Yi group. Okay, so and these are the lines or units under the Fa Yi group. So you have Congde, Liying, Tianyuan, and Tianen. These are the largest ones within the Fa Yi. Okay, and then ours is Tong Yi. Okay, and then there's let's see, Jingde, right? Guang Yao, Ciji, Huiying or Huiyuan. I don't know. They might have changed it to Huiyuan, but Cifa, Dehua, and Fengtian. Now there's 12 here. These are like I'm listening to the original ones. I think they have like 15 now. But these were the ones around when Lao Chenan was around. Okay, so the other ones I think appeared later on. So, anyways, so we're on the Tongyi. There's also maybe some class members from Hongtian. Okay, but so these are these are smaller. The smaller we're not that big. At least compared to like Congde or Ling or Tianyan and Tianan. Okay, so all right. Okay, so then we call our grand predecessor, right? Lao Chen. Oh, there's a there's a song playing in the background here. Uh, so he was in this world from 1901 to 1995, right? So and those 12 lines or units under the Fa Yi. He's in charge of the Fa Yi, okay, group. When he returned to heaven, his title was Bai Shui Sen Di, right? So, and I don't know, translating it just doesn't sound too good. So it's best to just use the original, the Chinese title, right? Bai Shui Sen Di, okay. Now, and then our Chen, right, predecessor Liu, okay, so he's from 1908 to 1972. He's the head of the Tongyi line or unit. And his title when he returned to heaven is Da De Zhenjing. Okay, well, this one you kind of translate the true sage of great virtue. Now, also he was there. Two of the other groups. Sorry. Yeah, that music. All right. Well, anyways, there are two other groups, the Cifa and Ciying. Okay, were kind of started under him as well. So, but we also have this other Chenin. But he also has the same surname, Liu, from 1910 to 1985. He's the Chenin of this Fa Yi Huiying, okay, or Huiyuan, right, line unit. Okay, so in his title when he returned to heaven is Huiyuan Da Sui. Okay, you can say it's Marshal of Complete Wisdom. Now we have him listed here. He's not really our Chenin, but because our Chenin, the Zhenjing, he left, unfortunately, this world in 1972, so that's very early on. And so Lao Chenan then assigned this Huiyuan Da Sui Chenan to kind of oversee our Tongyi unit to help us. Because, actually, I mean, he actually came, he was under, you can say he was under the Da De Zhenjing originally anyways. So that's why when we do the bowing, right, besides after Da De Zhenjing, we also make a bow to this Huiyuan Da Sui here, okay. And then it comes down to the transmitting master. So the Lao Den Ransi, the senior transmitting master Cui, okay, so it was from 1925 to 2013. Now he was the acting Chenin of our Tongyi unit. Right, the acting Chenin, that's, Holy Teacher once said that, he was the acting Chenin, because we no longer had the Chenin at that point. When he returned to heaven, he was given the title Le Dao Zhenjing. Okay, you can say, yeah, true sage of joyful Dao. Okay, so, all right. So these are, so we have to recognize we should recognize who they are, right? Because they're important figures within the Tao, especially for, our, our line, right? Our, this golden thread, okay? So this is actually the song that's playing in the background is this song here. It's a Holy Teacher scripture, right? It's his melody of shepherd Mu Yanglen. Okay, so it says, Chenin's footsteps took a difficult journey, right, to pioneer Tao, leaving home reluctantly, right, fearing neither wind nor rain or the elements or the hardships, right, blazing a great bright trail. So all these predecessors, the Chenin came before us, really, it was not easy for them back then to basically trailblaze to create this path for us to to be able to receive the Tao, cultivate the Tao. This is something that they encounter many hardships, and we've talked about like Dao De Zhenjing and before, okay, and Lao Chenan as well. So so that they've been through a lot to make sure to bring this Tao to us, basically, right? And so it's like in the spirit of Sage King Yu, who stopping the floods. Right, this is, I think, is what is it, the Shah dynasty or the Song dynasty? The one of the Sage Kings who, well, this is also one of the the Sage Kings. Okay, so yeah, because the story goes that he passed his in stopping the floods at the time in the Yellow River Basin there. And this is like, I don't know, this is more than 2000, like 20, this is probably around 3,000 years ago, maybe. But he passed his home 3 times, but he didn't really even stop by to see his mother. So this is kind of the spirit of the Chenin, where they had to give up, right? They gave up their careers, they gave up the family to propagate the Tao, right? For the purpose of propagating the Tao to save sentient beings, right? So, so that is kind of that spirit, the spirit of sacrifice. Well, we must be a shepherd wholeheartedly, right? So just like them, you can say that they're like shepherds. So it's interesting in the Bible, right? Jesus, they talk about like shepherds being the shepherd, similar. We must follow the Chenen's footsteps, propagate Yuan Dao the world over. Okay, so that was that song. All right, so so this is Dao. Basically, this is actually scripture. Okay, where you have holy teacher and also Guanyin Buddha, who are composed of scripture. And you draw this map on the scripture, the world map, with these and highlighting the Taiwan here and these radiating I don't know, lines coming from there. So it's just showing that how the Tao is spread from Taiwan to the rest of the world. Okay. All right. So our Fayi Tongyi Dao Society. Okay. So it started in 1947 in Taiwan. Well, from China. Okay. So you can say it started in China, and then it came to Taiwan in 1947. Sorry, the Tongyi, the Tongyi, sorry, is started in Taiwan when our predecessor, Dao De Zhenjing, came to Taiwan in 1947, right? Our main temples in Taiwan are the Tongyi Gong and also Yufo Gong temple. Okay, so this is a picture of the Tongyi Gong. So that's you could say it's our headquarters for the Tongyi, Bai Tongyi. Okay. And I list the Cifa Gong and also Hui Yin Tang. Okay, this is Yifo Gong here. And then this is the Cifa Gong and then Hui Yin Tang. So again, these later become, right, you noticed earlier that these are also independent units within Fa Yi. Okay, so even though it originally kind of established from under our Chen and Dao De Zhenjing, but later they kind of established themselves and really kind of spread, developed further and spread, and so they became units of themselves. All right. Then overseas, there's also this is like I just list the main temple in Indonesia is Chunhui Ruyuan. Okay, so you'll notice that the names of these temples have to do with the names of the ones in our predecessors in the Golden Thread. Okay, so Chunhui Ruyuan, Chunhui is one of the names for our predecessor. Okay, Dao De Zhenjing. In Malaysia, it's Bai Sui Sen Tang. Okay, so that's Bai Sui is the the name for grand predecessor or Lao Chenan, okay. And then in New Zealand we have 中华圣道院, which is okay. 中华 is the name for the matriarch, okay, holy teacher, 师母. And in Cambodia we have 大德佛院, which again that's our Chenan, 大德真经 is name. And then you have 乐道佛院 in Macau, which is our senior transmitter Cui. Okay, so these are all part of our golden thread here. And in the U.S. we have originally with senior transmitter Jin coming to the U.S. in 1974, establishing this home, the family temple, Tonglen Tan. Okay, and then also later on becoming a separate temple of Tongda, which became a public temple. But now it's we have the弥勒寶堂, the Happy Buddha Precious Temple. So here we have Maitreya, right? So again part of the golden thread. And then in Ohio we have Tenan Temple, right? So again, you can say representing our holy teacher Sijun, okay, Tenan Kufu. And then in California we have Yiling Foyan. Again, Yiling is another name for our the grand predecessor, okay, our Lao Chenan. So all the names of the major temples in the Fa Yi Tong Yi Dao Society are all linked to the golden thread. All right, so kind of you can say it's kind of a reminder to us of our golden thread. Okay. So the Fa Yi Tong Yi Dao Society. Okay, so yeah, this is actually true for most, pretty much all, I guess, I don't know, all the Dao societies. I mean, they have kind of similar structure. They have a Dao center, okay, which is kind of consists of, have the transmitting masters, lectures, and, sometimes temple hosts, and it provides the collective leadership, okay, and decision making for the Dao affairs within this Dao society, and provides overall, sets the overall policies and the management of the affairs. Okay, and so then you have the individual transmitting masters who are kind of in charge of Dao fields and specific temples. Okay. And then the other, some of the other things that, obviously the Dao affairs include Dao propagation. Now, there's also, okay, and then of course the classes that we mentioned earlier, we typically, I mean, a lot of what happens in the temple is, these classes, okay, besides there might be some other activities, but there other activities that might be outside, like bringing awareness to society, promoting vegetarianism, for example, or the children's sutra reading and moral education, things like that. Those classes, those can happen in the Dao Society as well. Again, more of that stuff maybe happens in like Taiwan, for example. Then here, it's there is some, not as much, okay, because we're not as well. To be frank, I mean, it's society, I guess, is not. They're not ready for the Tao. I guess I don't know. I mean, they're just. It's not. Because they're all these other religions and practices and whatnot. And so it may not fit in as well. Okay, so right. Okay, so the vision. Okay, so passing. Basically, what is the vision and hope of the Dao Society? Right, passing down the Dao tradition and culture. You can say, right, illuminate and admire the ancient role models. Okay, so it's we talk about the stories of the various the saints and sages, and then the Buddhas. Bodhisattvas, our predecessors, the patriarchs, all that. right? We should understand and get to know them, understand why they did what they did, why they sacrificed, so much for this Tao, right? Resolve to learn from and follow the saints and sages to create eternal peace. Okay, that's the goal is to, if we have this world of great harmony, then we'll have that peace. To take control of this special affinity, closely follow the holy teachers and heaven's mandate, and merciful guidance of Lao Chenan and Chenan. Okay, yeah, this, we have this special affinity today to be here, to have received the Tao, to be able to learn the Tao and to cultivate. This is not something to be taken lightly. We shouldn't throw away that affinity. Okay, just disregard it and say, oh, so a lot of people, they have the affinity to receive the Tao, but they don't seem to either. They don't treasure it. They don't cherish that affinity, or maybe they don't have a stronger affinity to continue to learn and to cultivate in the Tao. So that's unfortunate. But those, but I would say probably a lot of people they don't think it's that important, right? Unfortunately, right? And we earnestly cultivate and practice, spread the light to thousands of lamps, right? So we have this light that we need to light up other lamps, other people, basically, enlighten them, awaken them. Right? We inherit the past and lead the future, right? And show the true tradition of the Tao. Okay, so right, so the hope is to work towards the ideal that is the world of great harmony by creating harmony and propagating Tao to people with affinity around us. Right, to achieve the world of great harmony, we first have to achieve harmony within the family, and then widen that circle of harmony to relatives, friends, colleagues, and then to society. Right. Okay. Oh. All right. Okay, so the Dao Society can help us to cherish the special affinity that we have with this Tao in this life, right? To carry the torch of the Tao tradition, the principles, the practice, by integrating them into the daily life, right? And also to perform merits and fulfill our vows, light up the heart lamp of the masses, requite or repay the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters and holy teachers. Right. So with compassion, you can say, as the essence, and filial piety and brotherhood as the foundation, right? We integrated into daily life and we are cultivating within society, right? So this is kind of the best way of cultivation for people, for normal people to accept, right? We don't have to give up the career. We don't have to give up our family life just to cultivate. So that's why the way we cultivate in this white era is that it's special. Okay, so I mean it's a lot easier, you can say, or for many people. Okay. So everyone must cherish the unsurpassed opportunity that we have today during this time of universal salvation of the three realms. Right? So study and work hard to learn the Tao, cultivate the Tao, and propagate the Tao. Only in this way can we avoid missing this. We avoid missing this opportunity and wasting our time in this world. Yeah, it really is. If we don't seize the opportunity to do this, then we've really wasted our time here. Especially if we've already received the Tao, right? And we don't pursue this path, then that's kind of a waste. I think I've said it before. It's like getting a ticket to heaven, and you just throw it away. Okay, so we hopefully we don't do that. Okay, all right. Okay, so I'll just finish with there's a song here by the Third Prince. and it goes by this melody of "It's Only the Fairy Tale." That's happens to be it's an anime song. Okay, so it says today we have serendipity to enter the Dao Society. Serendipity means like chance or destiny or karma or some good fortune. Earnestly comprehend the Tao, to understand it, awaken and illuminate our inner light. Right? Let's go to enlighten the fairy people after the class. Everyone shows great love and reveals the Buddha mind. Okay, so hopefully, the things that we learn in class we can put into practice, because that's the Tao, right? The Tao is to be put into action. Okay, so and we can inherit and promote the Tao to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, it's not just for us, right? That's why we propagate the Tao. We want to save all sentient beings. Walk along the path of Tao and stand firm in the faith, right? To embrace the great ambition and spread the Tao throughout the world. Okay, helping people to leave the suffering of reincarnation and reach the shore of eternal happiness. And that is, that's what we hope to achieve. You know, and so this is kind of a basic kind of introduction, I guess, to the Dao Society. There are others. I mean, the some of the other the larger Dao societies, they have, again, like I said, they do more, right, and they're a little bit more engaged in society itself. But we're kind of small, so we're kind of getting started, if you will. And in a lot of areas, we're lacking resources for one, to do a lot of things. So, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we do what we can do with our resources. Okay, so but hopefully, things can expand later on. But so that's and we're not doing it just for ourselves. We really seeing how our Chenin, the sacrifices that were made by the predecessors, and those who come before us, we really should feel like we have to requite, right, their virtues, their sacrifice, by doing our best, right, to propagate this Tao, to make sure that, well, definitely for us to cultivate well, make sure that we cultivate ourselves well, and also then to try to help others to receive the Tao and also to cultivate the Tao. Okay, so okay, that's it. Okay, well, and finally, I just want to dedicate the merits from today's class to the people who are suffering due to the senseless war in Ukraine and elsewhere. Right, there's a lot of suffering in the world, and if we have merits, we can try to dedicate those merits to all the suffering sentient beings. It's they need it. They need our help. Okay, all right. With that, thank you. If I had said anything wrong, I ask the Buddhas for forgiveness, and also ask transmitting masters for their corrections. Thank you.